Captain Korex stretched his forearms until the armored joints cracked, savoring the sight of the fragile human vessel spinning helplessly in the void. The alien cruiser's viewport displayed the tiny craft like an insect trapped in amber, tumbling end over end, engines sputtering. The humans called it a ship. To Korex, it looked like a child's toy welded together from scrap and desperation. Pathetic, he muttered, mandibles clicking in amusement. From the communications pit, Officer Zella tilted her scaled head, listening to the static trickling through her station. Sir, the vermin are transmitting something. A surrender message, I think. Her voice carried dry humor, the kind reserved for prey too foolish to recognize the predator's teeth. Of course they are, Korex rumbled. What else would soft-skinned weaklings do when faced with the mighty Void Claw? He gestured at the bridge, where rows of Vorak crew worked in perfect order, their stations glowing with technology humans likely couldn't even pronounce. Security Chief Thran lumbered forward, each step sending vibrations through the deck. His massive frame dwarfed the control panels. Captain, should we vaporize them? Their ship is worth less than the power it would take to reduce it to dust. Korex flicked a dismissive hand. Patience, Thran. The Council wants them studied before we claim their little corner of the stars. These creatures, humans I believe, are supposedly new to hyperspace. I doubt they're worth the effort, but orders are orders. He snorted, a sharp hiss of steam. As if there's anything useful to learn from beings who burn chemicals for thrust and still struggle with mathematics. Second Officer Vex activated a holographic display. The projection shimmered with the human's crude ship specifications. Minimal weapons. Shields weak to the point of uselessness. Power generation barely sufficient for life support. Frankly, sir, I'm surprised they reached orbit around their homeworld, let alone hyperspace. Exploration craft, Korex repeated, dripping sarcasm. Adorable. They wander the void with technology our ancestors abandoned millennia ago. Ladies and gentlemen, behold the human fleet, surely the galaxy trembles. Laughter filled the bridge, rattles, hisses, clattering mandibles. To human ears it would have sounded like metal scraps tumbling through machinery, but among the Vorak it was genuine amusement. Korex raised one clawed hand, signaling silence. Bring them aboard. Cargo Bay 7 will suffice for housing our new specimens. Set the containment fields to the lowest setting. We wouldn't want to accidentally crush our delicate guests. Zella's frills twitched. 17 life signs detected. Should we expect resistance? The bridge erupted again, laughter rumbling like storm clouds. Thran chuckled. Resistance? Sir, with respect, I could subdue their entire crew with one secondary arm tied behind my back. Indeed, Korex agreed. Fragile bones, short lives, poor senses. They cannot breathe most atmospheres, and their vision fails in anything less than full light. The galaxy's weakest species. He studied his claws idly, as though the matter were already beneath him. The tractor beam engaged with a low hum, pulling the human craft into the cruiser's cavernous hold. Compared to the Void Claw, the vessel was a minnow swallowed by a leviathan. Within minutes, Vorak security teams boarded, corralling the humans into containment. Thran's voice crackled over the calm. Captain, the humans are surprisingly cooperative. No weapons, no last stands. They stand quietly, confused and frightened. Korex deadpanned. So, not the legendary warriors the broadcasts claimed? There is one anomaly, Thran added. They've chosen a spokesperson. Calls herself a translator. Maya Cross. Korex leaned forward. A translator? How convenient. Bring her to interrogation room 3. I'd like to see what passes for diplomacy among these creatures. 20 minutes later, Korex stood in the dimly lit chamber, the air thick with antiseptic haze. The door opened, and 2 guards escorted in the first human he had ever seen up close. Maya Cross was ordinary. Average height by human standards, which placed her barely at the size of a Vorak adolescent. Brown hair tied back in a crude tail, plain expedition clothing, no weapons. Her eyes, however, brown, steady, quietly observant, caught every detail of the room. Greetings, she said in flawless Galactic Standard. Her voice carried neither fear nor arrogance, only calm professionalism. I'm Maya Cross, certified xenolinguist and cultural liaison. Thank you for not destroying our ship. Corex blinked all 4 eyes in sequence. You speak our language? Several, actually, Maya replied with a small smile. I have a talent for them. It's why I was assigned to this mission, to facilitate communication. She tilted her head slightly, studying his posture. I hope we can resolve this peacefully. We're explorers, not soldiers. No harm? Corex repeated, tasting the words. Do you know what we do to species that mean no harm? I imagine you study them, learn from them, and perhaps discover ways to coexist, Maya said smoothly. That's what any advanced civilization would do. Vex, who had been listening from the shadows, stepped forward. Sir, she seems unusually well informed about galactic protocols. Oh, I wouldn't say we're primitive, Maya answered pleasantly. We're simply young. Everyone starts somewhere. Her gaze drifted around the room, curious rather than afraid. This is remarkable construction. Your binding matrices are far more advanced than ours. Corex tilted his head. He had expected pleading or tears. Instead, she sounded as if she were attending an academic lecture. Tell me, Miss Cross, he asked, voice hardening. What do you think will happen to you and your crew? Maya considered, then replied. I hope you'll allow us to learn from each other. You have technology we can only dream of, and in return we offer cultural insights, linguistic expertise, even new approaches to problem solving. Thran snorted. What problems could primitives solve for us? You'd be surprised, Maya said, unshaken. Sometimes fresh perspectives reveal solutions you overlook. Corex studied her carefully. Too calm. Too confident. Most species broke under capture. This human spoke like she was negotiating trade agreements. Very well, he said finally. You claim to be a translator. We'll put that to the test. You'll act as liaison between your people and mine. Maya inclined her head. I'd be honored. When do I begin? Immediately. Thran will escort you back to your people. Explain their situation. As she left, Vex leaned close. Sir, she is unusual. I've interrogated hundreds of species. None act like this. You read too much into it. Corex dismissed. Shock sometimes dulls primitive minds. She's harmless. He stretched again, though unease lingered beneath his confidence. What threat could one translator pose to a ship of Vorak warriors? Vex said nothing, though his eyes stayed on the feed as Maya walked calmly toward her waiting crew, her posture composed, her smile unwavering. For the first time in his career, Captain Corex felt a whisper of doubt. Cargo Bay 7 echoed with the hum of containment fields. The humans sat inside, 17 figures corralled into a section of space that could have held twice their number. Pale blue barriers shimmered around them like the walls of a translucent cage. To Captain Corex, watching through the observation window, they looked smaller in person than they had on the Holos. Fragile. Breakable. Yet what unsettled him wasn't their size, but their behavior. He had expected fear, trembling, chaos. Instead, the group moved with quiet order. Their bedding was neatly arranged, gear stacked in precise rows. Several stretched and performed rhythmic exercises, as though settling into a long voyage rather than captivity. Unusual, Vex murmured beside him. They behave like a military detachment, not a band of explorers. Coincidence, Corex replied, though his tone carried less conviction than before. Even weaklings can arrange blankets. The bay doors hissed open, and Maya Cross entered under guard escort. She carried herself without hesitation, stepping into the pen like a teacher addressing her students. At ease, everyone, she said in her own tongue. Though the words meant nothing to Corex's ears, the effect was clear. The humans stood, forming a loose semicircle around her. Even their silence held discipline. Maya switched back to Galactic Standard. Captain Corex has extended us hospitality. We are to remain cooperative and respect the rules of our hosts. Her polite phrasing drew faint smirks from a few of her crew. One human stepped forward, a tall man with graying hair, posture crisp, eyes sharp. He saluted Maya before speaking. She turned to Corex and translated smoothly. "This is Dr. Samuel Hale, our lead biologist. He wishes to know what medical accommodations are available for us." Corex waved a claw toward the overhead speaker. "Their bodies will adjust. The air is breathable. That is enough." Maya relayed his words, though Corex noted she softened the phrasing. Instead of dismissive disdain, her translation carried reassurance. The humans nodded as if comforted. Another approached, a younger man, grease stains on his uniform cuffs. "Marcus Webb," Maya introduced. "Our chief engineer. He is curious about your ship's power distribution. He says the efficiency is remarkable." "Remarkable?" Corex's mandibles twitched in amusement. "By their standards, perhaps. By ours, it is routine." Still, Webb's eyes gleamed as Maya translated his answer. The human scribbled something on a data pad with unnerving speed. One by one, more humans spoke. A red-haired woman introduced herself as Dr. Park, physician. Another, Alex Stone, identified as a geologist. Two younger specialists claimed to study alien flora. Each spoke respectfully, though Corex detected a precision in their questions, about gravity levels, food composition, lighting cycles, that went beyond idle curiosity. Maya managed it all seamlessly, shifting between languages without hesitation. She trimmed Corex's barbed remarks, smoothing them into civility. When humans grew too blunt, she recast their queries in polite tones. It was not lost on Corex that she controlled the tone of every exchange. Hours passed, and the pattern continued. Instead of fearful prisoners, the humans became willing contributors. Dr. Park requested access to medical supplies, offering to assist Vorak physicians with cross-species knowledge. Webb made suggestions for improving efficiency in waste filtration. The botanists eagerly proposed methods to increase hydroponic yield. To Corex's irritation, Vorak crew began listening. Engineers leaned toward Webb's diagrams, intrigued despite themselves. A medical technician scribbled notes, as Park explained human tolerance thresholds. Guards chuckled at jokes Maya translated from her crew, the harsh edges of suspicion dulled by her carefully chosen phrasing. Security Chief Thran entered mid-shift, his bulk filling the entryway. He scowled at the sight of guards conversing amiably with prisoners. "Captain, permission to increase discipline protocols. They grow too comfortable." Corex considered, eyes narrowing. "Comfort breeds honesty. Let them speak. Information spills more easily from relaxed tongues." Vex, standing nearby, leaned close. "Or from practiced ones. These humans are too organized. Look, sleeping quarters aligned, duty rotations established, physical training conducted as if routine." Corex exhaled sharply. "You see patterns and shadows. They are simply adaptive." Yet as he studied them, a knot formed in his chest. Adaptive or deliberate? Later, in the mess hall, Corex summoned Maya again. She arrived escorted, though she walked as though the guards were companions rather than captors. "Sit," he commanded, gesturing at the metal chair across from him. She obeyed with calm poise. "You organize your people well," Corex observed. "Not the behavior of frightened civilians." Maya smiled faintly. "Exploration requires discipline. Months in deep space test the strongest minds. Structure is survival." "Survival," Corex echoed, rolling the word on his tongue. "You think your species survives by order alone? We survive by learning," she countered gently. "By adapting. By asking questions others overlook." Her gaze flicked briefly to the Vorak crew in the hall, then back to him. "Your technology is extraordinary. To us, this is like glimpsing the future. You flatter poorly, human. Curiosity does not equal strength." "No," she agreed. "But it leads to it." Her answer unsettled him more than he cared to admit. Back in Cargo Bay 7, Thran prowled the perimeter as lights dimmed for rest cycle. The humans had divided into watch shifts, another military habit that gnawed at his instincts. He barked at Maya as she passed within earshot. "Why do explorers stand guard at night?" She turned, expression unreadable. "Because vigilance is a habit. In space, even small mistakes kill." Her words rang true, but Thran's unease grew. These weren't scientists stumbling into captivity. They carried themselves like soldiers disguised in research coats. From the observation window above, Corex rubbed at his jawline, watching as Maya addressed her crew one final time before rest. The humans listened with sharp attention, responding in short, precise exchanges. No raised voices. No quarrels. "They accept their captivity far too easily," Vex muttered at his side. "I have interrogated warriors who showed more fear. They are resigned," Corex argued, though his voice lacked weight. "No," Vex replied, eyes narrowing. "They are preparing." Corex dismissed him with a wave, though the seed had been planted. Below, Maya moved among her people, pausing to speak with Webb, then Park, then Hale. Each conversation was short, but hands tapped shoulders, nods exchanged. Patterns too deliberate to be casual. Corex's mandibles clicked softly. For all his bravado, he could not shake the thought whispering in the back of his mind. What exactly were these humans preparing for? The first malfunction seemed trivial. A door in Section C locked itself without command, sealing 2 crewmen inside for nearly an hour. By the time maintenance released them, both were cursing the faulty circuitry. Captain Corex dismissed it with a shrug. Old ships groaned from time to time, and the Void Claw had endured 2 decades of campaigns. A glitch meant nothing. But the second failure came the next morning. Gravity in the auxiliary cargo bay collapsed for 3 minutes, sending crates and startled guards tumbling in slow-motion chaos. No one was hurt, but the system's report offered no cause. When the third disruption followed, water recycling offline for 2 hours, Vex grew uneasy. Served 3 malfunctions in less than a cycle. All unrelated. All while humans were nearby. Corex's mandibles flexed. Coincidence. Coincidences multiply too quickly when prey is involved, Vex countered quietly. In Cargo Bay 7, the humans carried on with unsettling calm. Corex visited unannounced, looming in the entryway as the containment field parted for him. He found them mid-routine, Webb hunched over diagrams, Dr. Park speaking with Vorak medics, the botanists taking meticulous notes on hydroponics. Not a trace of nervous energy, no whispers of escape. Maya rose to greet him, her expression politely neutral. "Captain? To what do we owe the visit?" "You owe me answers," he replied, scanning the group. "Systems fail when you wander nearby. Lock sees, gravity falters, water stops flowing. Do your scientists tamper with my ship?" Maya shook her head gently. "We tamper with nothing. If we cause disruptions, it is only by accident of proximity. Perhaps your systems react poorly to foreign biology. A convenient excuse." She met his gaze without blinking. "Convenient, yes. True, also." Her tone was measured, carefully balancing denial with plausible explanation. Too measured. Corex felt irritation prickle under his carapace. Later that cycle, Communications Officer Zella approached with a datapad. Her voice carried hesitation. "Captain, I've been monitoring the human speech patterns. Something is wrong." Corex waved her on. "They speak English to each other most often. I know the basics. But their conversations contain repetitions. Certain terms appear too frequently, measurements, grid references, numbers." She tapped the display, showing highlighted transcripts. "For example, 177124. That sequence has surfaced 7 times in 2 days. Always in different contexts." Corex frowned. "And the meaning? I cannot say. But casual conversation rarely echoes numbers with such precision." He studied the highlighted strings, unease growing. "Continue listening. If they weave codes, we will unravel them." The following day, Corex summoned Maya to Interrogation Room 3 again. She entered with her usual composure, hands clasped behind her back, eyes curious but never fearful. He wasted no time. Tell me, Miss Cross, what does 177,124 mean to your people? For the first time, her smile faltered barely. A pause, short but sharp enough to register. Then she tilted her head. It is only a number, Captain. Humans use numbers constantly. Sampling intervals. Measurements. Coincidence, nothing more. You expect me to believe repetition is chance? Corex pressed, mandibles clicking. Why not? She countered smoothly. You are looking for patterns. When minds hunt patterns, they find them, even when none exist. Isn't that true of all species? Her argument had merit, but Corex's instincts rebelled. He leaned forward. When Engineer Webb spoke with our staff, he mentioned electromagnetic interference. Did he? Yes, Maya replied after the smallest hesitation. It was among possible causes. Corex narrowed his eyes. He had listened to the raw English himself. Webb's words had been dense with technical detail, none of which aligned perfectly with her translation. She was not relaying faithfully, she was filtering. What did Dr. Park truly say about human reproduction cycles? He demanded next. Her answer was longer than your summary. She provided more detail than necessary. Maya replied, voice calm but slightly firmer now. I condensed it for clarity. Do you truly wish your bridge staff to endure a lecture in human endocrinology? Her defense was plausible, yet Corex felt certain he was being handled, manipulated like a cadet during drills. He slammed his claw against the table, making the chamber tremble. Are you translating truth, Maya Cross, or weaving deception? She did not flinch. I translate intent, Captain. Intent is often more valuable than literal phrasing. Her voice carried steel now, a subtle shift from earlier courtesy. Corex caught it, and disliked it. After the interrogation, he ordered Thran to place her in isolation. Detention Bay 4. No access to her people. Thran frowned. She has not resisted. Why escalate? Because I smell deceit, Corex snapped. And I intend to cut the threads before they weave further. Isolation changed little. Guards reported Maya remained calm, offering suggestions to improve patrol efficiency, and even helping a technician repair a failing door seal. The Vorak guards found themselves listening to her, drawn in by her courtesy. She makes friends with them, Bex warned. Even in confinement. Guards are simple, Corex replied, though his own confidence wavered. The final straw came when Zella replayed an audio file in the briefing chamber. The humans' voices filled the air, casual chatter about food, data samples, research. But Zella slowed the playback, highlighted patterns. Notice the cadence, she explained. Stress on third syllables. Pauses after every prime number. When layered, it forms command strings. Not random chatter, structured signals. The realization struck Corex like a blade. They speak in code. Yes, Zella confirmed. Every conversation doubles as tactical exchange. They share grid positions, timing, weaknesses in our security. Miss Cross orchestrates it. She isn't translating words. She's conducting command. For several seconds, silence hung over the chamber. Even Thran's heavy breathing slowed. Corex's mandibles clicked with nervous energy. Then she is no translator. No, Captain, Bex said grimly. She is something far more dangerous. Corex returned to the isolation cell personally, standing across the barrier from Maya. She looked up from a borrowed datapad, her expression calm as ever. Good afternoon, Captain, she greeted. I trust you've solved your little system failures? He studied her, letting silence stretch. You've been playing a game, human. Coded messages in casual chatter. Numbers as coordinates. Breaths as signals. I underestimated you. For the first time, she did not offer denial. Instead, her smile sharpened. Perhaps you did. Corex's claws curled. I should dissect you and scatter the pieces as warning. You won't, Maya said softly. Because by now you've realized the truth. I am not the one in danger here. You are. Her confidence chilled him more than threats ever could. She sat straighter, posture crisp, hands folded behind her back in a stance too disciplined for coincidence. Corex realized then, with a certainty that left his scales cold, these humans had never been prisoners. They had been operators waiting for the right moment to act. The alarms began at 0347. Corex jolted awake to the shriek of klaxons and the pulsing glow of emergency strips across his quarters. His calm crackled before he touched it. "Captain?" Zella's voice snapped, sharp with fear. "Report to communications immediately. It's the humans, something's wrong." Corex dragged himself to the lift, mandibles clicking with irritation and unease. The lift doors opened onto a bridge already drowning in chaos. Technicians scrambled at dead consoles. Vex loomed over Zella's station, his eyes wide with something Corex had never seen in him before: panic. "Explain," Corex barked. Zella didn't turn, fingers flying across the console. Holograms flared above her desk, waveforms, transcripts, frequency overlays. "Sir, I finally decoded it. Their conversations. Every number, every pause, every inflection, it wasn't chatter. It was command structure. They've been passing tactical data under our noses since we brought them aboard." Corex's stomach clenched. "Show me." Zella played a recording, Dr. Park's voice, seemingly casual, discussing human biology. When filtered through Zella's algorithm, a second track emerged beneath, as clear as a knife edge. Security rotation changes every 15 minutes. Blind spot at guard post 7, duration 4 minutes 30 seconds. A second sample followed. Webb, laughing about human engineering difficulties. Underneath. Weapon storage, Deck 5, Section 12. Access via maintenance shaft 4 Alpha. Corex felt his legs weaken. "By the stars. They've been mapping the entire ship," Zella said grimly. "Every step, every question. Maya Cross coordinated it all." Vex spun toward him. "Sir, we have to act. Now. Lock them down, isolate every human." The deck shuddered under their feet. Lights flickered. For a heartbeat, the void claw seemed to groan. Corex's mandibles clattered. "What was that?" "Systems breach," an engineer shouted. "Multiple overrides on power distribution." Sir, it's coming from inside." The words froze the bridge. Inside. Corex stormed toward the security feed displays, claws digging into the railing as he stared at the grainy image of Detention Bay 4. Maya sat on the edge of her bunk, posture calm, hands clasped behind her back. Her fingers moved in precise patterns, 4 taps, then 2, then 3, then 1. "Get me that feed live," Corex growled. The screen blinked, audio activating. Maya's voice filled the bridge, steady and composed. "Attention all units. Operation Looking Glass is active. Execute Phase 3. Authorization Code Prometheus 77 Charlie." For a breath, the ship was silent. Then everything collapsed. Containment fields across Cargo Bay 7 dissolved in a burst of sparks. Humans who had been lounging, stretching, or idly chatting snapped into motion with mechanical precision. Dr. Park's medical kit split apart, revealing sleek components that clicked into the form of a plasma cutter. She drew the beam across the door's locking mechanism with practiced ease. Webb, the engineer, pulled compact nodes from his toolkit, slamming them against wall panels. The consoles lit instantly with foreign code, screens cascading into human script overlays. The botanists opened their sample cases, not to examine leaves but to release canisters of silvery vapor. The fog spread fast, tripping atmospheric sensors and plunging guard optics into static. Guards shouted, scrambled for weapons, but the humans were faster. One squad dismantled the Vorax's own security barriers, reassembling emitters into a defensive perimeter that now faced outward. It looked less like prisoners breaking free and more like soldiers executing a rehearsed drill. On the bridge, Thran's voice thundered over comms. "Captain? They're armed. How are they armed?" "They were never unarmed," Corex hissed. "We let them smuggle weapons in plain sight." Another jolt rocked the ship. Consoles across the bridge went dark. Red strobes flickered as auxiliary systems failed. "Sir!" Zella shouted. "We're losing control of navigation. Power grid rerouting, engines spooling without command input." Vex slammed a fist against the console. "They're inside our systems. Every helpful suggestion, every efficiency adjustment, they installed backdoors." Corex gripped the railing, his vision tunneling. "Then we have given them the keys to our own warship." In Detention Bay 4, Maya rose to her feet. Guards leveled rifles at her, hands shaking. "Miss Cross," Thran's voice warned over local comms. "You are under maximum security confinement. Stand down." Maya looked directly into the nearest camera, her expression no longer polite, no longer deferential. Her smile was sharp now, predatory. "You still don't understand," she said, voice carrying across every channel on the ship. "I was never your translator." The guards hesitated, confused. In that hesitation, every panel in the bay flickered, sealing them out of their own controls. The rifles in their hands powered down, safeties tripped by overrides. Maya clasped her hands behind her back again, posture military perfect. "I am Colonel Maya Cross, Terran Defense Force Special Operations Command." Her voice cut like steel. "This vessel is under human authority now. For your safety, remain where you are." On the bridge, Corex stood frozen. His crew stared at him, awaiting orders. He forced his mandibles to move. "Security lockdown. All humans to be confined individually. No communication access. Treat them as hostile combatants." The order reached no one. Screens continued to black out, consoles refused input. The ship obeyed a different master now. Zella's voice trembled. "Captain, she has ship-wide override. Every deck reports the same." They listened to her. Corex's chest heaved, rage and dread warring in his veins. "Then we fight the old way. Armed squads storm cargo bay 7. Cut them down before." "Sir!" Vex interrupted, eyes locked on the tactical feed. "Look!" The display showed the humans establishing choke points, erecting barriers, distributing improvised weapons pulled from nowhere. Their movements were synchronized, disciplined, without panic or wasted motion. Dr. Park patched a wounded Vorak guard with swift efficiency before handing him over to his squad. Webb tossed a completed energy rifle, assembled from scrap parts, into Stone's waiting hands. They weren't flailing prisoners. They were an infiltration unit executing Phase 3. The ship rocked again as the engines roared. Not Vorak engines. The sound was wrong, sharper, more efficient. Chief Engineer Brock gasped at the readout. "They've improved the drive. 30% efficiency gain. How? That's impossible." Corex stared, numb. "They turned my ship into theirs." Across every screen, Maya's face appeared, calm and unshaken. Behind her, humans moved with soldierly precision, the cage long since abandoned. "Attention Vorak crew," she said, voice cool and professional. "You are now guests aboard a Terran vessel. Remain in your stations. No one will be harmed if you comply. Resist, and we cannot guarantee safety." Corex's claws dug furrows into the command chair. "Colonel Cross," he spat. "You deceived us." Maya inclined her head slightly on the feed. "Correction, Captain? You deceived yourself. You saw weakness where there was only preparation. You mistook courtesy for fear." Her eyes bored into him through the screen, steady and unflinching. "And now," she finished, "you will learn the price of underestimating humanity." Red emergency light washed the bridge in a sickly glow, shadows stretching across bulkheads as if the ship itself were bleeding. Corex gripped the edge of his command chair, claws sinking into metal. His warship, his pride, felt suddenly foreign, answering to another's will. "Report!" he barked. Brock, the chief engineer, hunched over a sputtering console. "Sir, navigation offline. Power routed through channels I don't recognize. Someone's rewritten our grid from the inside." "Not someone," Bex said darkly. "Them." As if to confirm, the bridge screens flickered again. Maya's calm face appeared, her voice broadcasting over every frequency. "This is Colonel Maya Cross, Terran Defense Force. The Void Claw is under human control. Remain in place and you will not be harmed." Her tone carried no malice, no triumph, only professional certainty. That rattled Korex more than open threats ever could. Down in Cargo Bay 7, Vorax security teams attempted to breach. Thran led from the front, towering over his soldiers, plasma rifle gripped tight. The bay doors hissed open to a storm of shimmering fog. His optics blurred instantly, static chewing the display. "Push forward!" he roared, forcing himself through the haze. Shapes moved within, humans, low silhouettes darting with precision. Beams of plasma cut the fog in sharp lines, not random fire but calculated bursts. Thran dropped one attacker with a swipe of his secondary arm, only to realize too late that the weapon was improvised, cobbled from ship parts but lethal nonetheless. "Sir, we can't see!" a soldier cried. "You don't need to see!" Thran bellowed. "Advance by sound, by instinct!" Yet even instinct faltered. Every step forward met with controlled human fire, barriers erected from stolen emitters, choke points perfectly arranged. The Vorak were warriors born, but in that bay, they stumbled like recruits against veterans. On the bridge, Zella's hands trembled over her console. "Captain, security feeds compromised. They've rerouted control, our own sensors are showing us loops." "Meaning?" Korex snapped. "Meaning we're blind." Vex clenched his fists. "They know every corridor, every guard position. They planned this down to seconds." Korex's mandibles clicked furiously. "No plan survives contact. They cannot hold a warship with 17 operatives." "Sir?" Zella whispered, eyes locked on fresh data. "They don't need to hold it. They already own it." Minutes later, Brock shouted over the chaos. "Engine readings spiking. Sir, they've improved the drive efficiency by 30%. I didn't think that was possible." Korex turned slowly, disbelief twisting in his gut. "Improved? They rewrote our systems while pretending to help us," Brock said, voice tight with shame. "Every efficiency adjustment, every suggestion, we let them dig hooks into our ship." Korex sank back into his chair. His ship, the Void Claw, hunter of fleets, had been weaponized against him by creatures he'd mocked as primitives. The comms flared alive again. Maya's image filled the main screen, her posture crisp, eyes level. Behind her, humans moved with practice rhythm, weapons assembled, gear distributed, wounded tended to without pause. "Captain Korex," she said evenly, "your crew has fought with courage. But this engagement is over. Order them to stand down." Korex snarled, his pride clawing for air. "You presume too much, human. I command 1,000 warriors. You command 17 scientists with stolen toys. 17 operators," Maya corrected softly. "And your warriors are pinned, blinded, and cut off. Your systems belong to us. Your engines answer to my code. The Void Claw is ours in every way that matters. You will not hold it." Korex spat. "We don't need to," she replied. "We only needed to prove we could." Her calmness chilled him. This wasn't conquest, it was demonstration. Thran's voice cut through comms, ragged with exertion. "Captain? They've fortified the bay. Our weapons are useless in the interference. Losses mounting. Orders?" Korex forced the words past clenched mandibles. "Withdraw. Seal the bay. Let them choke in their cage." But even as he gave the command, Zella spoke again. "Sir, they've seized atmosphere control. If we seal them in, they'll vent us instead." For the first time, silence hung heavy on the bridge. The Vorak crew, proud warriors of the void, looked at their captain with wide, fearful eyes. On screen, Maya leaned slightly forward. "Captain, you can keep resisting and risk your crew, or you can accept reality. We are not here to slaughter. We are here to send a message." "And that message?" Korex demanded, though dread already whispered the answer. "That humanity is not prey." Her eyes hardened. "We are equals." Treat us as anything less, and you invite defeat. The words struck harder than weapons fire. The bridge quivered as systems continued falling silent. Weapons bays locked, shields disabled, thrusters cycling without Vorak input. Corex felt commands slipping through his claws like sand. Vex turned to him quietly. Sir, what are your orders? Corex hesitated, pride warring with reason. To fight was suicide. To surrender was humiliation. Yet his crew, his responsibility, weighed heavier than ego. Stand down, he said at last, the words bitter acid. Order all units to disengage. Zella relayed the command. Across the ship, Vorak weapons lowered, soldiers retreating with confusion and shame. The battle, if it could even be called that, was finished. In the quiet that followed, the screen showed Maya again. This time, her expression softened slightly. Wise choice, Captain. No lives need be wasted today. She paused, then added, We will return your ship, intact and improved. But you will remember this. Humanity does not bow. Corex glared, mandibles rigid. You used deception. Lies. False faces. War is not about honesty, Maya replied. It's about survival. And adaptation. You judged us weak because our technology is young. You never considered that intelligence and discipline can be sharper than steel. She leaned back, hands clasped behind her. Now you've seen what we truly are. The screen went dark, leaving only the hum of a warship that no longer felt like his. Corex sagged against his chair, the weight of realization crushing him. They had not been captors at all. From the moment Maya stepped aboard, polite and smiling, the Void Claw had been theirs. For the first time in his career, Captain Corex understood what it meant to be prey. The Void Claw drifted in silence, its once proud hum of dominance replaced by a ship subdued, humbled. Vorak crews sat at their stations, weapons stowed, eyes hollow with disbelief. The lights pulsed steady now, but the rhythm belonged to a different master. Captain Corex remained in his chair, rigid as stone. Hours earlier, this vessel had answered his every command. Now it obeyed the calm voice of a human colonel. The irony bit deeper than any blade. The bridge displays flickered. Maya Cross appeared, framed in the faint glow of command systems she now owned. Her posture was military, hands clasped neatly behind her back. No longer a translator. No longer pretending. Captain, she began, her tone precise but without cruelty. Our operation is complete. My team has what we came for. Your ship will be returned to you intact. Corex's mandibles twitched. You dare speak as though this were a negotiation. You hijack my vessel, humiliate my crew, and now you pretend courtesy? Maya's gaze never wavered. Courtesy isn't pretense. It's discipline. We've treated your people carefully. No Vorak has been executed, no system sabotaged beyond repair. You will leave this encounter stronger than when it began. A growl rumbled from Corex's throat. Stronger? You crippled our pride. Then perhaps your pride needed pruning, she replied evenly. The lift doors hissed open behind Corex. Thran entered, his armor scratched from the failed breach in Cargo Bay 7. His fists were clenched, but his eyes betrayed something closer to confusion than fury. They didn't finish us, he muttered. Could have, easily. But they didn't. Vex stood at the captain's shoulder. Because they didn't need to. Victory was theirs hours ago. Corex ignored them, focusing on the screen. What do you want, human? Territory? Tribute? Maya shook her head. Neither. Humanity seeks no empire. We seek respect. That is all. Zella dared to speak, her voice low. Respect is not given. It is earned. Maya inclined her head slightly. Precisely. And I believe we've earned yours. An hour later, Corex found himself in Cargo Bay 7 for the first time since the takeover. The containment fields were gone. The humans moved freely, their makeshift fortifications dismantled. Tools and weaponized kits lay stacked in neat piles, as though they had been training rather than waging war. Dr. Park approached with 2 Vorak medics at her side. She carried a datapad filled with schematics. Captain, I've prepared treatment protocols for several of your crew. Chronic respiratory conditions, untreated injuries. Your medical bay lacks certain diagnostics. We've fabricated replacements. Corex blinked, momentarily at a loss. You built equipment for us? Park's expression was clinical but calm. We don't leave allies, or enemies, in worse health than we found them. Nearby, Marcus Webb handed over a thick manual to Chief Brock. These are the efficiency upgrades we implemented. Power distribution now runs at 94%. Just follow the procedures. Your systems will remain stable. Brock stared at the document, torn between awe and humiliation. You gift us improvements after seizing control of our ship? Knowledge isn't a gift, Webb corrected. It's a tool. Use it well. Corex's mandibles clicked in disbelief. Why help us after humiliating us? Maya appeared from behind her team, approaching with the calm authority of someone who already knew the answer. Because this was never about destruction. It was about demonstration. Humanity has no wish to conquer. But we will not be underestimated. Thran scowled. And if we do underestimate you again? Maya's smile was faint, but the steel in it sent a chill through every Vorak present. Then you will regret it. Deeply. 3 hours later, in the cargo bay where humans now prepared their vessel, Maya stood before Corex one last time. Her crew moved around her with the efficiency of professionals packing after maneuvers, not survivors fleeing captivity. Captain, she said, handing him a small case. Inside sat a sleek device humming with subtle energy patterns. A universal translator. Real-time processing for 15,000 languages. We assembled it aboard your ship. Corex stared at the device, stunned. This surpasses galactic standard by generations. Consider it a token of professional courtesy, Maya replied. Future encounters will be easier if we understand one another. Corex's claws tightened around the case. You built this from scraps in less than a cycle? Webb, standing nearby, shrugged. Had spare time while your engineers thought I was tinkering with life support. Corex's throat constricted. They had created what his people had failed to perfect for centuries, in hours. When departure finally came, the humans filed aboard their patched vessel. From the outside, it still looked like a fragile box of metal and hope. Corex knew better now. Inside were soldiers capable of dismantling a warship with charm, science, and discipline. On the main viewer, Maya appeared one last time, now wearing her true uniform, dark, clean, adorned with insignia Corex did not recognize but instinctively respected. Captain Corex, she said, her voice clear across the bridge. Thank you for your hospitality. Humanity departs in peace. Corex forced his mandibles into motion. Colonel Cross. When will we see your people again? Oh, you won't, Maya said pleasantly. Not like this. The next time a Vorak cruiser meets humanity, it will be through our diplomats. They are much more civilized than we are. And if someone chooses to test your strength again? Corex asked quietly. Maya's expression didn't change, but the weight in her voice froze every heart on the bridge. Then they will learn what you already have. We are equals, or we are enemies. Nothing in between. The screen blinked out. Moments later, the human vessel engaged its drive, vanishing into hyperspace with a flash of pale light. Silence held the bridge. Crews shifted uneasily, their eyes fixed on Corex. He sat rigid, mandibles still, staring at the empty void where the human ship had vanished. Finally, he spoke, his voice low, almost reverent. Prepare my report. Every detail. The Council must know. Humanity has arrived, and they are not prey. Vex inclined his head slowly. What shall we call them, Captain? Corex leaned back, claws curling around the universal translator still humming softly in his hand. His answer came without hesitation. Equals.